Welcome to listening experience number 18, the Piccolo Trumpet. The Piccolo Trumpet is 1/2 the length of a standard trumpet. So if you do the math, you realize it plays an octave higher. Piccolo trumpets are the modern version of Baroque trumpets. Baroque trumpets were basically just a long tube. They had no valves. They did have little holes in them that you could use with your fingers they call it venting. I've got one of those at home. I'll bring it in and play it for you sometime to show you how that works. But it was very difficult to play in tune on the original Baroque trumpets from, the year 1350 and up until the middle of the 19th century. That's what trumpets were. During the Baroque era is when composers started writing a lot more for trumpet, and there were players that specialized in the different ranges of the instrument. You had the people that played the really high notes. They called those the clarini, and they were specialty players, you could say. They really focused on playing the high notes, and the higher you go on any brass instrument, the closer the notes are together. So that's why composers would write for them in that range so they could use more notes that were available. Modern players typically use the piccolo trumpet with valves because it's so much easier to play in tune. When you have the ability to use the valves rather than just your lips and ear to change pitches, it makes it immeasurably easier to play. I've got both, so as a trumpet player, when I get called to do a job that involves this, I usually use my piccolo trumpet. They come in a number of different keys, and depending on the piece of music you're playing, you would, take a different trumpet. The most common keys for modern piccolo trumpets, like the one on the screen here, are in the key of B flat and the key of A. And the way you change keys on a modern piccolo trumpet is you take out the lead pipe and you change the length of the lead pipe. Then you have to adjust all the other slides on the instrument just a little bit, but you have to tune that by ear. They do come in the key of G and F and D. And if you have a natural trumpet or a Baroque trumpet, what you would do, they have slides that come off, and to change keys, you take off all the slides and you put on a different set of slides. It's a huge pain. That's why there's a lot of orchestral music where trumpets just don't play on one movement because they didn't want to change all their crooks out. Probably the best example of Baroque trumpet playing comes from the music of Johann Sebastian Bach, and he wrote 6 concertos for small instruments, chamber music, small groups of instruments, I should say. They call them the Brandenburg concertos. That's the family that he wrote them for, and only one of them features the trumpet, Brandenburg Second Concerto. And the third movement is the one we're going to listen to today. The performer, his name is Maurice, and he is considered by most that know the finest classical player of the 20th century. Now that we are in the 21st century, there are plenty of other players that play as well as he did. But at the time, he was it. He was the guy. He's French. He studied at the Paris Conservatory and then ended up teaching there. Interesting story. When he went to audition to attend there, he played some stuff out of the book by Jean-Baptiste Arbin, The Complete Conservatory Method, and he was 18. And when he went in and he played for him, they said, "Yeah, no, why don't you go learn this a little bit and then come back and play it for us?" And he went and he practiced, and he practiced, and he practiced, and he came back and he played the characteristic studies in the back of the book from memory, absolutely perfect. And they said, yeah, you can study here. And then when he finished his degree, they're like, yeah, you want to teach here? So that's how he landed his job. And it's said that he hasn't missed a note since. In modern popular music, there was a very well-known tune by this little British boy band. You might have heard of them, called the Beatles. Yeah, the tune Penny Lane features a marvelous piccolo trumpet solo. And it's a piccolo in D. And I've got a picture of it there on the screen you can look at on your little quiz. But that's pretty fantastic playing by the guy that did it. So let's take a listen to Maurice Andre. And we are going to listen to the third movement of the Brandenburg Concerto number 2. If I can get this to work. There we go. That is some pretty phenomenal playing. That's well beyond what I can do as a trumpet player. But it's good to have goals. Maybe someday I'll be able to do that. Hope you enjoyed a little bit of piccolo trumpet. And next week we will look at the euphonium. See you soon. Bye.